Hello everyone, my name is Mario and welcome back to another Minecraft building tutorial here on the channel. So today I have yet another starter house design for you guys, and you guys could probably already tell what it is. Of course, it's a nice little tree house up in this custom tree that I made. It's not the best looking design, but it's actually one of my first attempts at a tree house. I did try to refine it as much as I could, so here is a little tour around it. So as you can see guys, our treehouse design is pretty simple, with a nice little basic hut supported by a custom tree with some spruce accents and decorations at the bottom to make it look more realistic. And it's a little more on the rustic side with a messy mix of blocks on the actual house and towards the bottom. So guys, as you could probably tell from the custom tree, this tutorial is not going to be super straightforward and set in stone, but rather it takes a lot of improvisation. So with this custom tree, I'm going to basically walk you through how to do it, but for the entire build, this is all the blocks you're going to need. Obviously this bottom row is all interior blocks, but I'm going to go ahead and break this chest here to get all of our main blocks. Just find a nice open area to start off with. And you want to get your oak wood, not the logs, but you want to get the full bark blocks, which is just 4 logs in a square. If you're doing this in survival, which you probably would be. But what you basically want to do is make a trunk, but make it a little bit thicker. So you can start with a pillar going up and then start to fortify it, like add some parts going up 3, some going up 2, and then you can go 1 and 1. And then just create a nice base using your logs that sort of gives it a realistic look. Sort of guesstimate and use your own judgment to see what you think will look good, but be sure to make it empty side to place your ladder. With this, you don't want to make it too symmetrical either, so I'm gonna go ahead and move some of the blocks around here. I think this is pretty good for our base, but also with your logs you can add like a few root pieces going out here and there. And you can see it's pretty plain right now. That's why I have these spruce detail pieces, and what I find is that spruce obviously looks the best because the color is closest to the oak bark. But with your spruce pieces, you want to utilize all of them, but obviously don't overdo it. So let's say since these two sides are symmetrical right now, we can go ahead and place a stair there to give it some height. And since it looks a little bit flat from the front, you can go ahead and put like a fence there, and then put a slab, like let's say here, to make it a little more compact. You can place a trap door back on this block, and you just want to make sure that things have a balance to it. I like to usually have like 2 fences and like 2 slabs at the very minimum, and then 1 of everything else. Yeah, like I didn't like the stair there just because it looks a little weird coming out straight like that. So I'm gonna put the stair, I'm gonna put a stair like that, and then I think that will be good. So since the actual house structure is fairly big, you want to make sure your base isn't too skimpy. You want the base to be a little bit thicker, a little bit sturdier, just so it adds that idea of realism. This is sort of the height you want to go at, and then you can start working with branches. And with branches, you usually want to go in a diagonal direction and then have maybe 1 or 2 that go into straight directions here. So like I can start this maybe up 1, and then this one could be a longer branch that curves upwards like so. And then all your branches sort of want to be different lengths like this. This is a pretty balanced tree, I'd say. And again, leave the front open so that you can fit a ladder. But with that said and done, we're gonna finish up the tree here just by surrounding it with leaves. I find this is the most painstakingly hard part because it's all about balance and like self preference. If you like your trees a certain way, then go for it, but I'll show you a little bit of what I like to do here. So I like to make sure all sides of my logs are covered to start off with. And obviously, people can't really see the logs from the ground anyway, but the logs are just sort of there to give you a general idea of where you want your tree to be going. So since this sort of goes up a little too much, we can droop a couple leaves down, make it more supported, because this feels like it's just coming out of nowhere. So if this ends up happening, you can delete a log even like that. I think that'll look better. And you just want to get rid of the leaves that stick out too much. Again, with the balance, you want to get more of a rounded shape, since you can't get perfect like circular trees leaf patterns in Minecraft. You want to make it as round and sort of compact as you can, make it look a little more realistic. Of course, I keep mentioning that, but that is the whole idea of custom trees. You want them to look like an improvement from default trees, obviously, which I think this already looks way better than a Minecraft tree. So if you can get to this stage, I trust that you can make a really nice tree house, because the actual house portion is not that hard to accomplish. So I'm just gonna get rid of these spruce pieces from my inventory and get out the ladder here. And basically the main house structure is just made up of these blocks. Actually, we want some of the spruce pieces, so we're gonna add a ladder going up like this. And then obviously our tree looks a little small compared to this one, so we will be making some adjustments once we implement the house. So if you want the ladder to start here, you can start your platform. So obviously if you have a slab there, won't look good, so you want to cover it with leaves the best you can. Obviously these are like the adjustments you make towards the end, but you can proactively do it as well. And this log is exposed, which doesn't look the best, so you just want to work on covering it as you go. Basically you want one side freed up here, and then we can work out from here and just expand your platform. But basically this house is sort of more of a broken down rustic style, not super refined, since of course it is up in the trees. Just make a little bit of a platform. I wouldn't go for a like a full-on rectangle, just something like this. I think once you get to here, that's a little bit too far. You want to make sure it's in range of the tree, so that it will look like it's being supported by the tree rather than being sort of just built out from the tree. You want it to look like it's indented sort of inside the tree. But we can just pull off something like this, I think. And this is a pretty good platform, because then we need to work on walls, which take up one block on the outside. So if you look, it is quite a small interior, but it is plenty for what we need here. So you could just work out this sort of pattern with stripped logs, and then look at where you want your windows. So obviously, as you can see, we have the gaps here where I want the windows. So I recommend at least one, but you can do two as well. So as you can see, I'm just going random with my stripped oak and oak planks here, and we have the spruce stair on the bottom there. And then in addition here, we want to work on this last wall. What I have in that house is basically just 3 walls, and then the last wall is leaf, which I find is okay because it makes it look like it's just more intertwined with the main body of the treehouse. So we'll have something like this, and then end it off like this. And then we can just fill this in pretty much. Have something like that. So as you can see in my model here, I have these little archways going above the windows. And that's just because the windows are tall to begin with, and the roof is low. But we want it so that you can see out of this window. We don't want a block here, so we want to make sure there's a block in the middle here to give it some room to view. But you can sort of go random up and down as you please. But what I'm doing here is you want to outline all of the sides like this, and the leaf side go a little bit lower just onto the actual leaf here. And then make sure you go over these oak blocks though, is one thing. You want to make sure you don't have any full blocks showing like this, because if once you have a full roof, let's say if we go over like that, let's say we have this, you're just gonna have that ugly oak block showing. So you want to have a slab there, and you can cut off some of the corners, which is what I did, which makes it look more less of a rectangle really. So, and then we're gonna go ahead and add these sort of detailing parts to the actual platform itself. So if we go underneath these side blocks with stairs like this, that just sort of gives it a more, not levitating feel, but a more structured base, which is maybe the opposite of levitating. But you want to connect it through like this, follow it through, boom boom boom, and so you basically have a thicker platform. But now the issue we run into is it does look like it's really floating, and how we solve that is by adding more branches. So you add a branch sort of running underneath the actual house. You can go like that, and then you want to cover this up with leaves. So obviously you can have a log in there, and it sort of gives it a more intertwined look again, as I mentioned. So yeah, I'm sorry if this tutorial is a little longer. I'm trying to do a little more explaining and less just straightforward instruction. So hopefully you guys don't mind. This is a little more obscure. But yeah, that looks good, right? You sort of have the leaves and the branches coming up from underneath, holding up the house, instead of the house just coming out. That is pretty much the main structure of the house done. And obviously you want to constantly circle around your house, make sure there's no leaves that you don't like or want. Make sure everything is nice and airy, nice and balanced. And then once you're pretty satisfied with the general structure, you can move on to some nice detailing. So I'm gonna start with the outside and work inside here. So as you can see on the ground, we have these coarse dirt blocks, which is sort of a tip I picked up from watching Mythical Sausage. So he's a super awesome guy, check him out. But you sort of want to replace the surrounding grass blocks with some coarse dirt, just to sort of look like the tree is more rooted into the ground, which goes hand in hand with the actual roots, the root looking blocks here. And I think I'm actually going to raise this out of the ground by 1. Does that work? I think that works if we do a little something like that. Yeah, I like that. So the more sort of space you can get out from the base, the better it looks, which is what I find, because as you go higher up, you want it to spread out towards the bottom as well, if I'm making any sense here. So don't go overboard with the dirt. Do like a little bit on each side, maybe one there, and yeah, that is looking pretty good. I think let's put that there instead. And once you're done with that, you can go around with some flower pots and just place them down on the ground to sort of give it inhabited look. And you can have one towards the back as well. Very nice. It just, oh, those are lined up. That's not too nice. I never like it when things are lined up too perfectly. Yeah, I like that. So instead of this fence here, I think we can put that. Yeah, I like that. Sort of have it resting on the actual tree itself. Alright, let's move on inside now. This tutorial is getting a little bit long. So let's try to wrap it up here. Obviously, if you have too many leaves, clear them out. Oh, no, I broke stuff. So for this, I find that I don't actually like to have a trapdoor at the top, because it takes away from the openness of living connected to the outdoors. But I'm keeping these 2 leaves here because I don't want it to be totally exposed. But of course, getting our inside decorations out, we got the green bed to match with the the green leaves here. Sort of blends in nice. And then I think the interior of this house is quite a bit larger than the model one I made here. So I have like a stair going like this, get a more like step up onto the platform, and then just get all your necessities here, pile them up into the corner, whatever fashion you really like. And yeah, I have about 1 block extra in here, so if you want you can go and add a little bit more decoration on the inside. I always like my flower pots. But yeah, as you can see, it's not the most spacious, but you can get some nice views out of here, which is not bad at all. You can't fit too much storage, but of course you can stack chests like so. Get a nice little interior going. You can't really stack furnaces unless you want to like have no walking space or like block the window. You don't want to block the window at all, because this can provide some really nice views in your survival world. So that's pretty much the tutorial, guys. We don't have that much else to add. I think that's gonna wrap it up. So I really hope you all did enjoy this one. It is certainly one of my more unique houses, and I really like it for that reason. And yeah, let me know how I did with this treehouse. Sort of my first time doing this. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you want to stay notified, of course, with my future tutorials, and of course check out my survival series that I do. You can find some more cool houses on there. But yeah, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you all next time. Peace out, goodbye.